Welcome, ladies and gents. Let's talk box office like I do every single Monday. So Barbie is a huge, huge success. $337 million global bow. That's a massive opening for this film. It did what most people, expect a sort of a domestic opener to do domestically. So it crossed, $100 million domestic, which is absolutely fantastic. And it's interesting as well, this movie seemingly is divisive. Some people view it as ultra-feminist, some people view it as satirical. It'll be interesting, I think, the longevity of this film, because we have just entered, especially in the UK anyway, I don't know elsewhere, but I'm assuming it's very, very similar. The UK has just entered its summer holidays. Now, this isn't, a universal film for everyone to watch at any age, but I do wonder whether there'll be carryover to week number 2. Because I'd initially thought that this would be heavily front-loaded, but I'm thinking now, because it's doing gangbusters and pretty, incredible numbers, that will actually spur on a second weekend. So I don't think it'll drop as significantly as, say, a Marvel movie, which averages, like a 60% drop-off. I think this will probably hold fast. Anywhere between, this is my hot take, anywhere between 40% drop-off, I know, shocking, and 55% drop-off. I think it'll hold steady, to be fair. And it is fascinating as well, this, in its opening weekend, I believe, if my mathematical equations are correct, has beaten out Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny already. So that entire run, Barbie's already killed it. So, yeah. I do think there's a slight shame here is that, Mission Impossible seems to essentially just fall flat on its arse now. But maybe with the footfall of people going through to the theatre chains, maybe they'll see Mission Impossible and want to go and watch that as well. You've got to remember, people have been put off with going to movies because movies have been shit. They've been terrible for some time. So, people going to the theatres, enjoying a film, and then moving forwards, they'll get a trailer for another film, and maybe that will reinvigorate or reignite the sort of theatre experience, but doubtful. But anyway, let's take a look. Oppenheimer as well is $174 million worldwide. So that has, it's covered its production budget, still not covered its marketing. It was made on a budget of around $90 to $100 million. So, it's pretty good. Oppenheimer will make money for the studio for sure. But let's take a look, right? So Barbenheimer was the meme that kept on giving, I guess. Warner Brothers' Barbie and Universal's Oppenheimer have delivered massive global debuts of $337 million and $174.2 million, respectively. So the international box office, Greta Gerwig's Barbie, starring Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling, surfed a wave to an incredible $182 million. Pretty good, from 69 markets. This is the biggest Warner Brothers offshore opening ever for a non-franchise film. And at the same time, Christopher Nolan's Cillian Murphy-led Oppenheimer in 78 markets. So, big amount of markets, and it just goes to show, the amount of markets it opened in, and it still took $93.7 million overseas. So it's, essentially half of what Barbie did. But I will say this, when you review the amount of screenings that Oppenheimer has versus Barbie, if you were to look at the amount of showings that Oppenheimer have, they are significantly reduced by comparison to Barbie. Like, significantly. I remember opening day, I went to book tickets for Oppenheimer. It had 3 showings on opening day. Whereas Barbie was just chock-a-block. Every single showing was there. It was crazy. So I think actually the real success here, if you're looking at it, is Oppenheimer for doing as good as it has with such limited amount of showings on per day. Now, for both titles, performances are beyond expectations. Not strictly true, actually, because we already know from Margot Robbie herself that she pitched this as a billion-dollar film, Barbie. So that's not beyond expectations. It's beyond what long-range box office tracking was. But there was great critical and audience response, as well as the organic worldwide Barbenheimer phenomenon, which created fusion at the box office as double bills became the order of the weekend for many moviegoers around the globe. Sure. Again, you couldn't really do that here because there were only 3 showings of Oppenheimer. Studio insiders across town have been agog over the past several days at the momentum, which also had a knock-on effect of expanding the marketplace. This is terrific for the industry and welcome news before we hit what could be a somewhat fallow period if the Hollywood strike stretch out, which I did a video on yesterday. I'll leave it linked above, actually. It's an industry on its knees. You literally had the CEO, former CEO, I think it was of Universal or Paramount, and 20th Century Fox, saying it literally will not, if this continues to Christmas, the industry will actually die. So, yeah, they kind of needed this massively. Now, Andrew Cripps, Warner Brothers President of International Theatrical Distribution, says, "The incredible worldwide results we've seen are a testament to the filmmakers' singular vision to provide a fun and engaging experience that audiences of all ages are responding to in a fun and powerful way." It's not all ages. It's like a PG-13 film. What are you talking about? You had the president of distribution of Universal Pictures, Veronica Kwan Vandenberg, says, "We couldn't be happier for Christopher Nolan and Emma Thomas, the phenomenal cast and crew, and our partners at IMAX and exhibition around the world." I mean, IMAX is probably laughing about this because they kicked off Mission Impossible to show Oppenheimer. So, they're obviously like, well, cool. We're making the money that we wanted to now. This is indeed a sunshine moment with two movies that couldn't be more different. Yeah, it's called counter-programming. Studios used to know how to do that, and they've seemingly forgot that for a long time. This weekend has been a huge win for our industry. The market expanded, and it is great to see audiences of all ages and demographics appreciate both films. It's great to see people coming out to see both films. It's well-deserved and well-needed news. Sure, but will it cross over to anything else? Who knows? So Barbie scored the second biggest industry opening of 2023, internationally behind Universal's Fast X, and was number one in 55 markets. So this also marks the top overseas start from Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling and Greta Gerwig, and the biggest industry opening of the year in 18 markets, including Australia, Brazil and the UK. Further milestones include biggest Warner Brothers bow ever in 16 markets, including Australia, New Zealand, Argentina, Brazil, Colombia and Mexico. In like-for-like markets, using today's exchange rates, the film is tracking 50% ahead of Wonder Woman, 161% above Cinderella, 177% above The Little Mermaid. That's hilarious. And 236% over Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. So, for all intents and purposes, it was a massive smash hit. A huge smash hit. I can't... You know what? I don't know. I don't know whether I can see this being a $1 billion movie. Maybe it will be, but I don't know. A movie that is as divisive as this will either encourage people to go and see it for themselves, because that does often happen, or it will fall on its arse the next weekend. But I do think this positive, record-breaking, mass, box office, promoting, etc. attitude right now, I think it will have a pretty good second weekend, actually. But I could be wrong. Who knows? It'll be just an interesting thing to see what happens moving forwards. Dead Reckoning Part 1 may have lost some momentum amid the Barbenheimer double bill, but let's recall that Tom Cruise himself encouraged moviegoers to see both this weekend's movies, in effect launching a star-endorsed love in for the expanded marketplace. So, Mission Impossible 7 did $55 million from 71 markets. So it has now hit overseas anyway $252.1 million. Globally, it's done $371 million. Not great, but it did debut in Japan this weekend at number one with 7.9 million. Now, that's significant for a few reasons, because Japan was a market where it took like $100 million before, and if that is 23% above Mission Impossible Fallout, that indicates that that's probably going to do all right moving forwards in Japan. Let's be honest there. So $371 million globally for Mission Impossible Fallout. We'll have to see. This is the problem with discussing the box office for Mission Impossible, is loads of people are comparing the discussion around Mission Impossible with the discussion around a Marvel movie, and they're not comparable, because Marvel movies historically are front-loaded and Mission Impossible movies have legs. So you actually can't call this a flop just yet. I think ultimately, again, hot take, which you can hold me to moving down further down the line, my prediction is that Mission Impossible will, I don't know, probably scrape to $700 million, which won't be a huge win for the studio, but they will make profit moving forwards on secondary sort of ancillary streaming, those sort of revenue sources. So, yeah, there's my hot take. But let me know what you think of this down below. Again, Barbie Oppenheimer smashed the box office. But let's see, do you think it's going to continue? Do you think the positive word of mouth, because it's done very, very well, will spur it on to a good second week? Or where do you think it's going to fall, percentage-wise? I myself said 40 to 55% drop-off. I don't think it'll be anywhere like a Marvel movie at 60%, but who knows? Stranger things have happened. Leave your thoughts and your predictions down below. Cheers, guys. Take care. Bye-bye now.